1.
Close. How many are after the decimal?
2.
2. Good job. Yes. So anytime we're writing money, you're going to write 2 places after the decimal. So remember that change is always 2 spots. So even if it's 5 cents, there's a 0, then a 5. Or if it's 50 cents, there's a 5 and then a 0. So make sure for today's homework, you're always doing 2 decimal spots, or it's going to give it to you wrong or mark you wrong. A whole number has a decimal at the end. We don't write it. When we're adding and subtracting money, it's always important that our decimals are lined up. So if it's a number just like 42, you need to add the decimal and then 0, 0. So it'll look like this. You can line your decimals up so that you can keep everything in order. Because if you just have the 42 under the 0 and the 5, it wouldn't be right. You would get a completely wrong answer. So it's important that if there's no decimals that you put in 0.00 to keep them in line. Same thing goes for when you're using your calculator for today's assignment. Make sure you're adding the decimals in the correct spots and that you're using the decimals. If you don't put them in, it won't give you the correct answer. Cents are written with 2 decimal places. 3 cents is written as $0.03. Multiplication of decimals is different than addition, so we're going to be doing it on a calculator. This talks more about doing it by hand. When you multiply decimals on paper and pencil, you write the equation without decimals and then solve, and then come back and count how many numbers are behind the decimals, and then put that in your final answer. So if it's 3 numbers are behind the decimals, then in your final answer, you're going to come back and count 3 places and put in 3 numbers behind the decimal. But since we're using a calculator, you will be in charge of just putting the number in your calculator. So make sure that you are inputting the numbers correctly. If you don't, you're going to get the wrong answer. To round to the nearest cent, you will need to round to 2 places to the right of the decimal. So can you see a pattern here? Am I engraving in your brain 2 spots past the decimal? Are you sick of hearing me say that? But we're dealing with money. That's what it is, what it is. Okay, 3.5, division of monetary units or division of money. So if you enter 429 and divide it by 9, you get a decimal. 47.66666666 repeated. But we're working with money, so it needs to be 2 places after the decimal. So how would we round that? What would your answer be? Type it in the chat. So 47.66666, I want it to be just 2 numbers after the decimal place. What would that round to? So if I'm rounding to 2 numbers after the decimal place, I'm going to come to the decimal and count 2 spaces after it. 1, 2. And then I am going to look at this number's neighbor, which is a 6. Is 6 bigger or smaller than 5? Bigger. So then I come back to this 6 and I add 1. What's 6 plus 1? 7. So then my new answer is 47.67. So calculators will not round to the second decimal place. It's going to put as many numbers after the decimal as it can fit. So you are in charge of rounding it to 2 decimal places. So if it's 0.66 and the next number is a 6, you would round up. But then if this number was a 2, you would keep it the same. So we worked on rounding before. So this is an example for you guys. Round 47.666 to the nearest whole dollar. So the 7 is the whole dollar. So round 47.66 to the nearest whole dollar and put your answer in the chat. Yes, Armando and Yasmin got it correct. So it would be 48. Yes, Justice. Good job. So you need to look at the ones place, which is the 7. Look to the neighbor and decide if I'm going to round up or down. 6 is bigger than 5, so I'm going to come back to my 7 and add 1, and so I get 48. Next, round 51.293 to the nearest whole dollar. Good job. So Justice and Melanie were the ones to get it the most correct. 51 is the correct answer, of course, but then remember we're working with money, so 2 places after the decimal. All right, so now we're going to practice division. I think I skipped a slide. Did I? Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. So plug this into your calculator, so either on your phone or opening up a new Chrome tab. 79.8 divided by 0.24, and then put your answer in the chat. All right, good. So you should get 332.5, but remember that we're working with money. So how many spots should you have after the decimal? You should have 2. So it should be 0.50. Okay, one last example, and then I'll give you guys your homework. Plug it into your calculator. $86.75 divided by 0.5. Put that in your calculator. Not quite, Tegan and Jaime. There you go, Yasmin. Nice. There you go, Tegan. So you should get 173.5, but remember, we're working with cents. So you need to have 2 places after the decimal. If you don't, it will be marked incorrect. Another thing we need to have, since we're working with money, is the dollar sign. So all of your answers should have the dollar sign and 2 numbers after the decimal, or they will be marked wrong. So here is the link to the assignment. It is 30 problems, but you can use your calculator for all of them. And if you don't finish today, we will have Friday to work on it as well.